Welcome, one and all, to the Easy Railcast Creepypasta stream. This is Creepypasta here, White, right, people?
That's right, guys. Um, Today we're gonna read some creepy pastas. Forgot to make the screen big too, Drew. Anyways, today
Oh yeah.
today we're going to read creepy pastas. We're each gonna read three creepy pastas we picked. I haven't picked three yet, but I've already picked my first one, and I shall pick the other two. While Drew will Drew will read his next. Drew will read the first creepypasta, but I think
Yes.
I'll be the first creepypasta. Oh yes, Hudson, we are prepared. The first creepypasta I picked is the Lost THX text trailer.
Ooh.
Yep. So I'm gonna go ahead and read it. If I
Fire away.
I think I can at least do the screen share if I can. Screen share.
Take it easy.
Oh my mouse is not working, but I'm just gonna go ahead and read it. Warning: this story contains unsettling themes and implications that are not for children. Viewer discretion is advised. Does anybody know the American audio company THX? It was a rather unusual company, but it has a disturbing deep note. They use deep notes for audio tests. I remember seeing THX trailers on my childhood DVDs, and that concerned me. However, there was a robot mascot that Pixar made for THX called Tex, and he used to scare me when I was little. His design is just all that. I am here to tell you a story about how he got a little weirder. I was out for a walk with my dad's metal detector to find some money to put in my wallet. I didn't hear a beep from the machine until later. I grabbed a shovel and it was revealed to be a cardboard box. I put it in the house and opened it. What was inside it? A THX DVD. The case had a black background and text holding up some tools. It was labeled as Tex Halloween 2007. I felt interested in watching it, so I decided to turn it on. I put it in my portable DVD player I got for my 13th birthday, and some sort of message came up. This DVD was a test for people who are afraid of Tex and want him to be creepier. To promote Halloween by Rob Zombie, despite the fact that it's not THX certified, we want to test out how creepy Tex would be if he were a horror character. So sit back and enjoy Tex's 2007 Halloween trailer. So the trailer was to promote Halloween by Rob Zombie? I thought to myself, it started with a black screen for about 10 seconds. After that, it finally showed the THX logo in a dark background. Tex walked into the shot with some tools and waved to us. He flew to the logo and went to the X and opened a trap door. The camera then followed Tex as he slid down the secret passage. I saw Tex running, but it was hard to keep up with him. As I thought I finally caught up with him, the screen cut to black. I heard a light switch, and as the light turned on, Tex was in a room full of dead bodies and corpses. So we're hung. So we're I'm not good at reading. Some were mutilated, and some were stabbed. Tex smiled to us and asked us, "Do you like it?" He had a very deep voice, brushed and bogan-like voice. I couldn't handle the sight of the corpses, so I paused the DVD and rushed to my bathroom and vomited into the toilet. After I threw up, I went back to watch the trailer. I played it again, and Tex suddenly vanished without a trace after about 5 seconds. Tex's face appeared onto the screen with blood stains, accompanied by a loud woman's scream. That scared the crap out of me. The camera zoomed out of his face. Tex then said, Since I'm going to make robot food, I'm going to make you as my very own human sandwich. He grabbed out a saw. I was so scared that I was about to hyperventilate. Tex said something else, but first, would you like to see if I have eyes or not? Tex lifted up his cap, revealing human eyeballs planted on his face. Then a loud static sound emitted. I covered my ears, but I didn't close my eyes or take them off the screen. Time to rock and roll with the T-Man tonight. Time to rock and roll with the T-Man tonight, yelled Tex. The camera started to run away from the sight, and Tex started to chase the camera, laughing manically. Hoo-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha! The camera tried to get out of the trapdoor of the X, but Tex grabbed him and fell into the sky. They were so high up, I felt like I was being held by him. Tex made the camera face him and held the saw to his throat, grinning invitingly. The deep no will never end. He tilted his head to the right, like Michael Myers, grinning with his robot teeth showing stained in blood. Then he tilted his head to the left, but this time with a grimace. He was about to slash his saw at the camera, but he said, forgot it. One death will be more worse for you. So he threw the camera away from him, and the camera was falling. Tex's saw fell with him, and the saw's gravity slashed his arm. It was revealed it was a human's POV. The human finally fell to the ground. He seemed okay, but he got impaled by an incoming saw that stabbed right through his chest, killing him, and screamed in agony. The man fell to the floor. It later stopped showing the POV of the human and finally showed a wide shot of the THX logo. We also get to see a glimpse of the man. He had brown hair, a yellow shirt, blue jeans, and red sneakers. So I'm assuming, I don't know. The deep note rose and it played. The deep note rose and it played. Unlike the other deep notes throughout the THX trailers from the past to present, this trailer's deep note was a mixture of various people screaming, stock sounds, and real screams. Tex dropped to the ground, like how he did in that Stampede trailer or Mucan trailer made by Pixar back in 1997. He grinned at us. You know that. You know what? You shouldn't have seen this trailer. If you never laid eyes on me nor thought of me, then you would have had nightmares about me. Good night. Then he flew off into the darkness, chuckling evilly. Before the trailer ended, as the deep note faded out, it showed the famous THX slogan, "The audience is listening." Right under that, it says, "Happy Halloween" in blood. The corners of the screen were even blood-stained. But the DVD wasn't over yet. It showed one final message, which is an apology to the DVD viewer. We are very sorry we scared you. Lots of people were afraid of Tex when they were young. You see, many people get afraid of a certain fictional character, then they would have nightmares. Again, we are very sorry. Then it showed Happy Halloween from THX with the THX URL under it. Tex can also be heard laughing from the distance as the screen was displayed. The DVD ended for real. I was really angry and scared at the same time. I took the DVD out of my DVD player and attempted to destroy it, but I thought to myself that I should upload the footage to YouTube for everyone to see. I put the DVD back in and recorded it with my phone. After uploading it to YouTube, I stomped on the DVD, hammered it, and threw it out in the bin. I didn't sleep for a night. I've had a lot of nightmares about the trailer. I can't believe I've seen the scariest video of the THX robot in my life. I don't know if I am going to forget about the video or not, but hopefully I will. I reported the trailer to the THX. They even remembered making it for the screening of Halloween 2007. They felt bad for giving autistic THX fans nightmares. No one needs to know the truth that THX is a psychopath. He's a helpful robot, but he looks creepy on the outside. Well,
Creepy.
yeah.
Very.
Okay. Now Drew will read his first creepypasta he picked, which will be one for the VeggieTales 1993. I've been thinking, I'm assuming the test pilot for VeggieTales, or I don't know. But
Yeah.
oh, the test pilot. Okay, the test pilot for VeggieTales in '93. All right.
Do you have a echo cancellation off? I'm echoing.
Oh yeah, but my mouse is not working right now, so yeah.
Ah. I'll read this.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here is VeggieTales 1993. Here we go. I really don't know what to say anymore. There hasn't been much out of me over the past 3 days because of that horrible experience. Has anyone heard of VeggieTales? I've been a big fan of it ever since I got my first DVD, which was Rack Shack and Benny. I'm gonna pause the. I'm gonna mute you, Wyatt.
Okay.
That way. All right. Here we go. All right. The show is really good in my eyes because of the characters, stories, morals, and humor. However, I have outgrown the show because I've gotten older, and I'm glad I did because there are these new redesigns in the spin-off called VeggieTales in the House, which to me was kinda a guilty pleasure. I still have a bunch of DVDs and some old VHS tapes. I watched all of them except one. Its name was Where's God When I'm Scared? I've actually had it before, but after I got it, I was about to watch it, but I couldn't find it. So I decided to go on. So I decided to go to my old buddy Amazon to look for not a re-release, not a remaster, but the original. I searched for it, but I couldn't find a copy until I got to the bottom of the results. The title of the item said, VeggieTales 1993, Where's God When I'm Scared? VHS tape, good as new. I couldn't wait to get it in the mail. About a week later, my aunt and uncle, who I was living with at the time, were going on a trip. They said if I ever needed them to call them. At least I can watch the VHS tape without being disturbed because my sister has also gone to a friend's house as well. Right after they left, the mailman came and put some in the mailbox. Most likely a package from the yellow wrapping I could see around it. So after he left, I checked the mailbox, and sure enough, it was my package. I grabbed it and went to the house into my room, shut the door behind me, and started opening it up. After I opened it up, I started to look at the tape's condition because you could get something that looks brand new on the picture of the item, but then you wind up getting a sand-filled GameCube. The tape's box art looked like it was copied off of Google Images, and the actual tape didn't have a label. Geez, Amazon, thank you very much, I said in a kind of sarcastic way, even though I was really happy to get the tape. Since I have an old VCR, thanks to the 80s, that I barely use anymore that I got from my uncle, I put in the VHS tape and pressed play. For some reason, it took 9 minutes to get working. I'm guessing because of the bad condition. After 9 minutes of waiting, which felt longer because I was excited to watch it, the tape finally began. It seemed like everything was normal at first, for the first 15 minutes of the tape. It was a really great episode that had a great lesson. God is bigger than any monster out there, followed by a silly song called the Water Buffalo Song. As I was going to finish the other 15 minutes after the silly song, it seemed like the tape got preempted because it showed a black screen for about 3 minutes. Not only was I upset because I thought the tape didn't work after 15 minutes or was recorded over the actual show, I was also mad that it seemed like I was scammed out of $10. But after a little complaining, the show seemed to restart because it showed the intro again. I was a little curious because the show normally doesn't restart unless it's over and you hear the tape rewind inside the VCR, but it didn't. I did hear the tape rewind inside. When the actual show started, it showed Bob and Larry standing on the countertop as usual. But for some reason, the atmosphere felt different, almost depressing. I mean, Bob and Larry were smiling and the background was bright and colorful, but for some reason, it felt depressing. Everything was about normal until they started reading the letter. Bob read the letter out loud and it said, Dear Bob and Larry, I am a mother of two children, and my youngest son died in a car accident last night. His dad fell asleep on the wheel and crashed into a tree. He was fine, but my son was killed. I don't know what to do anymore. I just hope you understand what I've been through. Michelle. Bob looked really upset with the letter, and Larry didn't say anything clever or funny, which was kind of out of character for him. The show interrupted Bob and Larry before they could say anything. The show started up with Junior watching TV at night in the living room, similar to Where's God When I'm Scared, with the familiar Mom Asparagus saying, Junior, it's time for bed, with Junior saying, just 4 more minutes. But he decided to turn off the television and go to his room. He hopped up the stairs and into his room. However, he was extremely scared, even more than he was when watching the TV show. I thought, yeesh, that show was scary, but it isn't real, is it? Junior went to sleep and would get treated to his dreams/nightmares. There was a lot of flashing colors and shapes with Junior in the dream world. After about 30 seconds, I heard a loud booming voice that sounded like my TV speakers were at 100% volume. However, my volume was only at 10%. The voice said, You are weak, humble, disgraceful, no one. This part shocked me the most. I was jump scared by the monster that Junior watched on the TV, except it looked a lot more demented. Junior woke up not with a scream, not with a cry, but instead a shocked face. It cut to 2 days later. Bob and Larry were with Mom and Dad Asparagus. The dad said, Junior hasn't come out of his room in 2 days. Is he sick? Is he coming down with something? Is he injured? We don't know because he never told us. They entered his room. Junior looked a lot worse than last time we saw him. He was lying straight on his bed, staring up with red, bloodshot eyes, and was drooling out of a gaping mouth. Bob closed his eyes and said, Junior looks like he's in really bad condition. This was the first time I've seen Bob this serious. They cut to Junior again, but he was shaking rapidly and started foaming out of the mouth. He seemed like he was crying as well. It cut to a hospital building that looked like Archibald, where a doctor that looked like Archibald said in his British accent, Junior hasn't slept in 3 days. He looks he looks like he's shocked, almost in a coma state. His mom said to Junior, we didn't know you were scared, Junior. Or wait, the mom said that, my bad. His mom said to Junior, We didn't know you were scared, Junior. You should have told us. This was getting really disturbing and really uncomfortable to watch. After his mom saw that the beeper, the thing that tells you if his heart's beating and beeps, went flat, Archie said to them, I'm sorry, everyone, but Junior is dead. It was really sad. I felt like I was going to cry because Junior was one of my favorite characters on the show. It cuts to a picture of the Asparagus family, with Mom Asparagus crying in the background, while mixed in with the words, He's gone. I can't bring him back. I can't live like this anymore. Then it showed Mom Asparagus in the kitchen, reaching in a medicine cabinet, pulling out a bottle of pills. She finishes with the following words, When you lose someone, you will always feel pain until you can't feel at all. She opens the bottle, pours all the pills in her mouth, then passes out. The final image is an image of the Asparagus family. It cuts back to the countertop where Bob and Larry are even sadder from when they read the letter. Then Bob said in a sad voice, It's time to talk to Corey about what we learned today. Corey didn't work, though, and Bob was getting angry at Corey for not working. He starts bouncing off of Corey like a ball, getting angrier every time. Larry even told Bob to stop or he might get hurt. Bob charged at the computer, and when he hit it, he splattered into pieces of tomato juice and tomato chunks. Larry ran off crying, and he went to the edge of the countertop and said to the audience while staring at the camera in a sad voice, Remember, kids, God made you special, and he loves you very much. Goodbye. Larry then jumps off the counter, and when he hits the floor, he smashes into pieces. The episode ended with no credits, just nothing. This was a very shocking experience for me. I didn't know who made this episode. I don't even know if I was dreaming or not. I couldn't sleep for 2 days. I kept getting nightmares about the following episodes. The next day, I decided to email Big Idea, the company that makes VeggieTales, about this strange and disturbing episode. I didn't get a response until 2 weeks later, and the email said, To whom it concerns, from Big Idea. Subject, Disturbing VeggieTales 1993, where's God when I'm scared reply. We are very sorry. We have never made anything as disturbing or demented as you have described for us, but we understand your worry, and so we think you should get rid of it and anything else that might worry you. And remember, God made you special and He loves you very much. Big Idea. I took the word for it and threw the tape, along with some VeggieTales DVDs, VHS tapes, even my Bob and Larry plushes I had since I was little, and threw them in the garbage. I tried to tell other people about it, even my closest friends, and my aunt and uncle didn't believe me. I was watching news on the TV last night, and there was a story about a father and son who was driving last night and crashed into a tree. The father survived with a few injuries, but the son died, and the mother was named Michelle. That's strange because that's strange because I lost track. Hold a second. Okay, I'm back. That's strange because there was something similar to the letter that Bob and Larry read. So the next day, I decided to take a drive around my home state, Arizona. After a few hours of driving, I found myself at the Grand Canyon. So I parked my car there and went to the edge and looked down the rocky floor at the bottom of the canyon. Remember, God made you special and He loves you very much. And that was the story.
All right, my echo cancellation is off, or it's
Woo!
on. It's on. Just kidding. It's on.
Oh,
Okay, I was
woo!
just needed to do some things real quick. And by the way, this will be our first longer podcast than we expected because we've picked 3 podcasts. I'll have my second one in a bit because I need to get my sody, Dr. Thunder.
Also, tomorrow there won't be a Tom's and Percy stream because, well, I'm going to be at Six Flags tomorrow
Oh, cool.
for Fright Fest.
Yeah,
Yes, Petunia's okay again.
that's
If
right,
you haven't
guys.
noticed. But she fainted during the THX Creepypasta.
Who fainted during the THX creepypasta?
Petunia.
Petunia.
Yeah,
We need to start getting other people and maybe any other of your characters to join any of our podcasts.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe maybe we'll do reading creepypastas part 2 next year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think after the stream, if I have time, I'm going to be working on the trailer for Person Halloween Amusement Park Purge for next year, which Wyatt has recorded his lines. Good job, Wyatt. Very good voice. Like seriously, your voice was incredible. Like
Thank
seriously,
you.
really incredible. Am I late? Well, you missed the first 2 stories, so yeah. That was strange. I just got a big old Windows update thingy. That was strange. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna be going a bit longer than usual. So yeah, better sit tight and
Okay.
enjoy the stories.
All right. My next creepypasta I picked is Wallace and Gromit. It's a Jesus. It's a Wallace and Gromit one. Wallace and Gromit: The Lost Film.
Oh, I can't wait to see this. I was watching the Were Rabbit today. I'm gonna continue it
Oh, you
after my
watched the
Thompson
Real
Percy
Rabbit
stream.
today. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch that for I'm gonna rewatch that for Halloween
Oh,
on Sunday. Well, in Utah, we might get some snow on Halloween, but I don't know yet since weather changes all the time because of climate change. But I'm gonna just read this creepypasta.
White burps and other stories.
Does anybody know the Wallace and Gromit films? They are one of my favorites. I even liked the first films. They were good, but however, I stopped watching Wallace and Gromit because the actor for Wallace named Peter Salas died. I recovered watching a lost film of the series that was not aired on TV. It all started out in fall of 2017. My sister Christina and I were staying at my grandparents for a couple of weeks as my parents were visiting New Zealand. My grandparents and my sister were going to see My Little Pony, the movie, because my sister was a fan of the show. I had to take care of the house myself. I did come cleaning around the house. While cleaning, I noticed a box full of movies and TV shows. I did some browsing through the box and found some shows such as Bear in the Big Blue House, My Little Pony, Thomas and Friends, The Muppet Show, and others. My grandparents have owned the first three Wallace and Gromit movies. While looking, I noticed one rare Wallace and Gromit DVD I have never seen. It was written in marker as was labeled Wallace and Gromit Death and Suicide. Strange. I have never seen this type of Wallace and Gromit movie. I demonstrated the DVD. It had no DVD menu. It went straight to the movie. The intro was normal. The film starts out with Gromit cooking pancakes for breakfast. Then Wallace taps his little device system for his breakfast. Gromit pulls the lever to send Wallace down. He got dressed normally. His pancakes were in the shape of a knife. Wallace Wallace thanked Gromit by saying, "These pancakes look like art. Thanks, lad." Oh, I gotta do the impression. "These pancakes look like art. Thanks, lads." Gromit went upstairs and took a bath. Wallace went outside to check the mail. He went back into the house and read the newspaper. The newspaper title on the front it said read Mysterious Killer on the Loose. Stay inside. Gromit started to feel the warm water aiming towards his buddy. He automatically fell right asleep. Wallace was paying his bills when he noticed a tiny water drop onto the table. Uh, Wallace quickly rushed upstairs to the bathroom and noticed Gromit had too much water. Wallace waked up Gromit by rubbing his ears, and Gromit woke up. The killer that was seen on the newspaper stabbed Wallace to death. And it then showed random clips with random loud house clips. The film then ends with the shot of Wallace hanging from a noose. The credits rolled, only listing written by David Stephen Cohen. I reported this to Aardman Animations. I told them about the lost film I watched. They said that Peter Sallis wanted to stop voicing Wallace, and they had no choice but to release unknown copies of the lost film I watched. Oh my god! Can you imagine that? Wallace and Gromit
Yeah.
lost that Death and Suicide being made for Halloween?
Yeah.
Wow, I think only
Yeah.
I think it should be shown only here in this country
Yeah.
since yeah. But
Yeah.
you
Gotta
know,
love Wallace and Gromit.
well
Where's my cheese, Gromit?
if someone adapts this into like a creepy pasta or an anim or a stop motion creepy pasta, then well,
Hmm.
I guess I'll pay to see that.
Yeah.
Uh, Drew, your next creepypasta is the
The
real Chuck
real
E.
Chuck E.
Cheese.
Cheese. Okay, here's a little
All right.
story. I'm terrified of Chuck E. Cheese, so I thought I'm gonna read this creepypasta because, well, Chuck E. Cheese scares the living shit out of me. So let's do this.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's begin.
Oh, and
Have
also
you?
one quick thing, Drew. One quick thing, Drew. Can you make our names red because this is a creepypasta podcast? Make our names red right there.
Oh well, I have made it Thomas Blue, but I'll gladly make it red for this occasion. So yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
make this red.
All
Boom.
right. Our names are
Everything
red
is
for this
evil.
creepypasta.
Let's do this.
We should have done it earlier, but go
Yeah.
ahead,
Cue
Drew.
creepypasta voice. Have you ever thought that there was something that the creators of Chuck E. Cheese were hiding something from us all? Or have you ever found something to be off about the place? Even the creepy robotic mascots that danced on the stage. I didn't until I found out the truth about Chuck E. Cheese. It all began on the first time I've ever visited the place. I was around the age of 5 or 6, so I was, of course, pretty ecstatic to go. Seeing all those commercials of kids eating pizza, running around without a care in the world, on arcade games and on the play structure made me almost get down on my hands and knees and plead and beg my mom to take me. After finally getting her to break, she took me. I was the happiest kid in the whole world. My mom drove me over just a few hours before evening. So maybe around 4:30 or so. I almost knocked down I almost knocked over the woman at the door who gave you the little hand stamp on your hand, running ahead of my mom and bursting through the doors like a maniac child. Eventually I was stamped and I was slowly screeching as I ran around to all the games and playsets. After a bit, I stumbled on over to a game, like whack-a-mole but with sharks, right by the staff-only room. One shark whack a minute later, I'd won the game. Before I could squeal in success and collect my tickets, my ears caught the sound of something very strange going on near the staff-only room. I could hear someone say, "Test number 15 on mutated rat results and angered behavior such as throwing desks and scientists at the wall." I then began to wonder, what in the world could they be talking about? Maybe they were making a new game. Being so young, I had no idea what was going on in there. Being curious, feeling a bit interested, I pressed myself against the door and listened carefully as a 6-year-old could. I could literally hear them snapping at each other. Things like, "What are we gonna do with this beast?" and "Get it away from me!" A mumbled shout poured over whoever was in there. Replied with a louder, "We can't just kill that thing! It's a beast version of our mascot!" The talking stopped. I blinked for a second and pressed myself closer on the door. I quickly realized that this was a very bad mistake. As the door opened from my weight against it, I slipped in, going from leaning on the door to falling face flat on the ground in the staff room. Immediately, footsteps trampled over to me, hands grabbing at my arms. I was out like a light in a few seconds, and I still don't know what the hell they did, did to do that. I woke up slowly, my eyes feeling heavy and my body feeling weak. In some kind of interrogation room, a tall man with a serious expression, wearing the cleanest white lab coat I'd ever seen, began walking towards me out of the blue, like he knew I'd be awake, like he knew I was awake. His voice was deep, and it was scratchy from what I could tell when he began to speak. "You know, don't you? You know," he said. I was a 6-year-old half knocked out at Chuck E. Cheese, so I didn't know what they expected from me. I babbled for a second, let my tongue function correctly. "What?" I replied dumbly, blinking hastily. He grabbed my arm, making the static feeling intensify somehow. He pulled me a bit, making me whine. Though I quickly shut my toddler trap when a loud banging on the door echoed throughout the room. Naturally, me being so young and clueless, I screamed, thrashing around. The man let go of me, snapping at me to shut my mouth. Forgetting about almost everything, I thrashed around some more, slipping out of my chair. I kicked my legs, going into the corner of the room. I screamed again, banging my foot against something, making a loud metal clang against my foot. I twisted around and wind down at an air vent. I was kicked. I kicked it again out of scared, hot anger, with another loud scream and clang. A metal front popped off. Again, let out a shriek when I heard the man stomping towards me out of the noise of clawing metal and banging. I scooted inside, spitting at him. I was scared half to death. I mean, what was I doing here? Where was my mom? He swiped at me for a moment, but he quickly pulled his hand back. There was another loud bang, and the man stepped back. Using my tiny hands, I grabbed the air vent's door and pulled it back, pressing it on the door. Just in time, a piercing hiss was followed by a shout from the stranger, and the loudest bang on the door. I crawled back, scooting back into the vent. I had to leave. Me being so young, I knew I was in trouble. I hastily turned around a little bit of a struggle, with a bit of a struggle, that's what I meant to say, slowly crawling down the vent. A loud manly scream echoed through the vent, me being followed by more. They were in unison with the sound of cracking and tearing, which I now know was flesh and bone from the stranger. I got out as fast as I could, a small light around the corner. After a few minutes, I, and I stomped it on it. The opening of the vent easily popped open. They weren't really paying attention on how tightly they were screwed on, were they? My feet stumbled as I climbed out, but were soon trampling to where I saw my mom last. She was still there, with a worried expression on her face. I ran up to her, hugging her tight. My eyes were now glazed with hot, wet tears. I wanted to go home. I just wanted to go home. I want to go home, I whined and complained. My mother gave me a strange look, but put a finger on my cheek. "You must be tired, sweetheart," she cooed. Picking me up, I clenched my small fist, holding tightly onto her shirt. We walked out of the building, me being oh so lovingly carried to the car. A distant whir of sirens in the distance became a bit louder and louder, and police cars pulled into the large parking lot and skidded to a halt in front of the once amazing and fun Chuck E. Cheese. My mother almost ran to the car and quickly buckled me into my car seat. A couple hours later, I was home and safe. That night, I walked out of my room to get some water before I went to bed, a habit of me trying to procrastinate so I didn't have to sleep. And my mother was watching the news. The reporter was talking about some kind of mutated rat coming out of Chuck E. Cheese and disappearing down the alleyways. So what happened to the real Chuck E. Cheese, God only knows. But I will never, and I repeat, never go into any damn Chuck E. Cheese for as long as I live. Same here. So that was the creepypasta.
Okay. All right. Um, I'm actually still trying to find a creepy pasta, but while
Well, by searches,
actually I found a Blues Clues
ooh,
creepy pasta episode that's pretty famous, but
read it.
not technically famous. Anyways, here we go.
Go for it.
To protect my privacy, I decided to keep my name anonymous. I'm not sure how to begin my story, but I do the best I can. I can also start by informing you about the show Blues Clues. Blues Clues. Um, for those of you who have never watched it, Blues Clues is a show for young children that was created in '96 and lasts for 10 years with a total of 6 seasons and 142 episodes. The show involves Steve or Joe looking for clues and solving mysteries with the help from the audience. Blues was an animated dog who labeled the clues with her paw prints. Blues Clues was a hit with many little kids, including me. The idea was original, and the artwork was amazing. However, Steve Burns was the backbone of the show. Steve Burns was the actor who played Steve. He was more serious than Barney the dinosaur, but he loved kids and knew exactly how to make them happy. There was just something magical about his enthusiasm that made me want to watch more and more of his episodes. He sadly left the show in 2002. He pursued a musical career. Steve was replaced by Donovan Patton, who was the actor for Joe, but it wasn't the same. I stopped watching Blue's Clues after Steve left. The show just lost its magic for me. Joe was nothing like Steve. He was a total goofball, and my mother told me that Donovan Patton was acting too hard. When I was 16, my family moved to a large 3-story house in upstate New York that was previously owned by a nice old lady. A few weeks after moving in, I decided to do some exploring in the attic. I found an old trunk. To my surprise, it was filled with a bunch of old VHS tapes. All of them were Blues Clues tapes. I knew the old lady's cell phone number, so I decided to call her and ask her about the tapes. She told me that she bought them from a collector a few years back for her little grandson to watch. After I thanked her and hung up, I emptied the trunk. I emptied the trunk before checking the tapes. All of them had episodes that I already watched, except for one. The one tape I found just had a regular sticker, not a factory sticker, like the other tapes had. The title on the sticker was Blues Clues Sorrow. I thought the title was a little strange, but I figured it was just a copy of the Steve Goes to College episode. The one where Steve goes off to college and Joe takes his place. Because Steve said goodbye to all of his friends in that episode, I considered it to be very sorrowful indeed. When my parents went on their anniversary trip and left me in charge of the house of one night, I figured it was to perfect opportunity to check out the tape. Our TV has a VCR, and I have to admit it, I felt a tingle of excitement when I placed the tape in the player. I was about to relive relive my childhood memories of watching Blue's Clues. I didn't care that I was too old to watch it. I knew for sure that I would enjoy it. At least that's what I thought. The episode started off completely normal. The Blue's Clues book opened up, and Steve looked out the window of his little yellow house. Hi out there, it's me, Steve. Have you seen Blue? Wait, she's not here. Well, come on in. The front door opened, and Steve was in the living room, looking concerned. I need to tell you something important. Blue is at the vet, and she's having an operation on her. I hope she's okay. Steve stopped talking and looked down at the floor as the scene ended. The next scene showed Steve at the vet. He sat in the waiting room without making a sound. He did nothing but stare at the doors, which led into the operating rooms. A surgeon opened a door, but she wasn't an animated character. She was a real person. She whispered in Steve's ear, but I could hear everything she said. Her heart stopped beating. He tried our best, but we couldn't get it to beat again. I'm sorry. The scene ended. The next scene, the next scene started with a title card saying that a month had passed after Blue's funeral. A deep voice spoke. There are 5 stages in the grieving processes: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, the voice said. Steve will experience 3 stages all at once: depression, anger, and mental illness. Steve was in his bedroom, lying in bed. He began to cry, and the color of the episode turned black and white, like a depressing old photograph. Steve cried so hard his breathing grew shallow. The scene ended. The
Damn.
next scene showed Steve sitting up on his bed. He stopped crying, but his face was now red and his teeth were chinkling clenched tightly. Steve held his Antor Horace with both hands. He screamed, Blue! At the top of his lungs. His scream sent chills down my spine. Steve whipped off his Horace's head, and black ooze squirted out of the shuffled animal's neck. Steve threw Horace in a fit of rage. When the anteater landed, it oozed completely covered the floor. I fought the urge to vomit against my better judgment. I decided to keep watching. Steve's body began to turn darker and darker color by the second. After about 5 seconds, Steve completely turned black. He got up out of bed, walked out of the bedroom, and walked into his living room. I thought that I was going to sit in his bed. I thought he was going to sit in his back big red thinking chair, but he didn't. He stood in front of the chair and stared at the screen for a full minute. His eyes lost their pupils and began nothing more than white dots. He started crying again, and white tears steamed down his face. Some sad piano music began to play. The music was so heartbreaking, I shed a few tears myself. A message flashed across the screen. It said, You can figure out Blue's Clues, but you can't figure out insanity. The scene ended. Next scene showed Steve still standing in the living room. He was no longer crying, and his body was completely normal color. I can't leave without Blue, he said. She was my best friend. She gave my life happiness and meaning. Without her, I have nothing to live for. The kids in the background that helped Steve find the clues started to cry and whimper. They shouted, Please don't do it, Steve. We love you. We are friends. We're friends too. I'm sorry, Steve said. I'm sorry, Steve said. I'm sorry if I broke your hearts for doing this. I have no choice. Goodbye. He held up a container. The camera zoomed in on the label, which said Potassium cyanide. Steve had a calm look on his face as he swallowed the contents of the container. He instantly collapsed onto the carpet. He foamed at the mouth while his body twitched and trashed on the floor like he was being electrocuted. Steve eventually stopped moving. I knew him who got ki- and I knew him who got killed. The episode finally ended as my TV cut to static. I sat still, dazed. It took my brain a few minutes to comprehend what I just watched. I made the decision that then and there to play detective find out where in the world this episode came from. I looked up the name of the episode online, but came up with nothing. I knew that the company Viacom owned Blue's Clues because their company name was shown on the factory stickers of the VHS tapes. After a bit of research, I wrote a letter to the Viacom headquarters. I told them about my experience and asked them if they knew where the tape came from. 2 weeks later, I got a reply in the email. Dr. Mr. Dr. Mr. Wait, dear Mr. XXXXX, thank you for taking the time to write to us. We were quite surprised by your story about the unaired episode of Blue's Clues that you discovered. We are grateful that you contacted us concerning it. We can personally assure that the Viacom Media Networks, as well as Viacom, claims no ownership or liability whatsoever regarding the episode. However, we still feel that an explanation is in order. Unfortunately, we are unable to provide details of the tape's creation, as we simply don't know how this happened. Back in 2002, we received a VHS tape in a package with no address. The words Mr. Ted were written on the package. Along with this tape, there was a letter from Mr. Ted stating that he was the biggest fan of the Blues Clues series and asked for our approval to air his fan made creation on television. We were quite flattered that a fan would send us a fan made episode for airing. However, when our editors viewed the episode for refinement, they were quite appealed by its nature. A few of the staff who viewed the episode unbelievably went into shock and had to be transported to the emergency room immediately. Due to the horrifying content, we absolutely had no plans to air this episode. We passed the tape to a private collector, but we were dismayed to discover that he had many copies made. We asked that you please don't release the contents of the tape or this letter to the public, as we don't know want to upset the viewers who love and support our shows for young children. With warm regards, Michael D. Fricklas,
Sure.
Executive Vice President, General Counsel, and Secretary. Questions bounced around inside my head, and they still do to this day. Who is Mr. Ted? How is he able to create this demonic episode? Is he even, well, human? Out of no respect for Viacom, I am afraid I cannot provide any footage. However, I figured releasing a single screenshot and a copy of the letter to the public wouldn't make them too angry. You probably wondering, why are you telling me this? What's the point of this story? To be honest, I just wanted to get it off my chest. I've kept it a secret for a little while, but I eventually felt the desire to tell someone whether they believe me or not. A part of my brain told me to throw away the tape and the letter, but I have kept both in my closet to remind me that what I experienced was real. And now I realize that some so-called fans of TV shows are not as normal as you might think they are.
That was a long one.
Your final creepypasta is Dora's real life. Go for
Yes,
it, Cameron.
Dora's real life. It's about Dora the Explorer, and yes, not really a fan of Dora. I mean, although it's fun to make fun of it. Anyway, so yeah, here we go. I shall now read the creepypasta. We are now at the start, and here we go. Creepypasta voice here. Hello, my name is Kimberly Wolf. As a mom, I am really careful of what my children watch. I have two little girls, Gabby, who's 4, and Josie is 18 months. Before I had Josie, I banned Dora in my house. This might sound silly, because you might be telling yourself, isn't Dora the Explorer supposed to be a kid show? Yes, it is, but I banned it from an experience I will never forget. It was around Christmas of 2013, and Gabby was 2 years old. She usually liked Disney Junior, which had Doc McStuffins and Sophia the First. Her two favorite shows, yeah, that's what I say. Almost every day, though, she would turn to Nick Jr. and watch Dora when her favorite shows weren't on. Since she watched Dora on a daily basis, I probably thought she would like a Dora DVD. Since my husband was home and I wanted to be quick, I decided to go to Cumberland Farms. If you don't know this chain, it's like a convenience store, and the one nearest to me has a DVD rack. I I followed through the DVDs until I finally found one. It had a normal cover which said Dora the Explorer, Map Adventures. What I've learned was that the cover was normal, but the DVD wasn't. On Christmas Eve, we had our Christmas party we have every year. We opened our presents. Gabby got the Dora DVD I got for her. She thanked me for it, but she didn't watch it until Christmas Day. So now Gabby had all her presents from Santa Claus opened, and I think it was before dinner when she watched it. She had her own DVD player for her TV, so I popped the DVD in the player and left her to watch it. She came out of the room and said, Mommy, Daddy, Dora's scary. I don't want to see her. As my husband always has to assume everything he says is right, he unsurprisingly said, Honey, it was probably nothing. But I could see it in her eyes. She looked pale as snow. Her eyes were very tired, her lips were dry. She looked exactly like she had a fever. I told her, Don't worry, Gabby, there's nothing to be scared about. We'll lay in bed and rest for a while. But there was something to be scared about. Dora's real life. Roll credits, just kidding. Uh, I took the DVD out of the DVD player and sent Gabby to bed. I wondered, what is so bad about a DVD that says Map Adventures? Well, I was about to find out. At 10 o'clock p.m., it came to my conclusion to test the video, even though I considered smashing it to bits for a while. But anyway, I found a portable DVD player I got on eBay and put the DVD in there. But before I actually did, I examined the DVD. It was a DVD that you use to record things with or burn other videos on. Written on the DVD, it said Dora's Real Life in red marker. Why is this not a Dora DVD? I whispered to myself. Anyway, I put it in the player. The DVD started off with the Paramount logo. The difference was it had the fanfare instead of being silent, like as the DVD logo was. I liked to hum the fanfare, so I did, but it seemed to get off key at the end. Huh, that was creepy, I thought. Anyway, it had a Nick Jr. logo which made me jump. Guess what it was? The orange Nick was beating Blue Jr. mercilessly. Who in their dirty minds would do this? Did they think did I think this, as in child abuse, was a joke? The theme song started. It was the theme in the earlier episodes, but with many changes. The song sounded perfectly fine, but here are all the changes. The French doors were brown and open with a creaking noise. The arts and crafts table had a saying, "No tengo a nadie con quien hablar, que me ayude," something like that. I have no one to talk to. Help me. The room was dimly lighted. The orange cushion was
Oh wait, Drew's frozen. Drew, you there? Drew's frozen, guys. Hold on. Uh. Hmm.
happened, so I got signed out. So we're just gonna end the Railcast right here because my computer just restarted on me for an update. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I think we're gonna close off right here. So
Yeah,
yeah.
guys. Just despite the fact that Drew was reading the last creepypasta about Dora's real life, um, we're closing it off right here since we had some problems. Don't forget to make our names blue again, Drew. Blip, blip, blip,
Oh
blip.
yeah, I'll go do that right now. All right,
Yeah,
let's change the background
blip,
back to
blip,
blue.
blip, blue. Blip, 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 blue.
All right.
Oh,
Oh no, that's I
a
want to
little
make it
bit.
Thomas. Trying to make it Thomas blue. So hard
Yeah,
to do. Okay, that's close enough.
and yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
there we
it's
go.
close enough. But our text is not white as usual.
Oh
But
yeah.
oh yeah, our text
Well,
is white.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
that could have
Uh,
gone better.
yeah. All right. That's it for the Easy Railcast. I'm Mike Glover and Drew Thomas, and we're going off and saying good night and pickles suck.
Well, good night, everybody.